This is Hamilton with Catherine. So, hammer time with Catherine. This is just what I'm going to call this corner, this episode and video. I was thinking about getting safe in myself again, and getting back into nature was a huge part of this process. As a child, I loved being outside. I would always be out and playing with my friends, getting really dirty in the dirt, climbing trees and stuff. But as I grew up, I kind of became more indoorsy, and I believed that I was a city girl. I grew up in a little town in a big city in Japan, and called Yokohama. And Yokohama is only about an hour or so to Tokyo. So I would go out into the city and hang out with friends there. And I thought I liked being in the city more. I thought I was a city girl. And I went to Canada after high school with that mentality, and I lived in the city, and I hung out in the city often. And around 2017, that's when I began going back into nature. 2017 was also my first Reiki session, Reiki/psychic guidance session, and that really changed my life. That, and also traveling around Europe on my own. I went to a lot of places with beautiful nature, like the ocean, also Plitvice in Croatia. Also Croatia, the sea, the Adriatic Sea there is beautiful. So I hung out a lot outdoors while traveling in 2016. And then in 2017, after receiving Reiki for the first time, I just began to go into nature more. Vancouver is full of beautiful, beautiful natural spots, nature spots. And I don't know why, but I just felt drawn to nature, and I began spending more time in nature. And at that time, I was working with people. I was working in a homeless shelter, and also working as a barista. And I was in the service industry, so I was doing so much for other people, and I needed that. I needed time for myself, and I needed to give back to myself and be by myself, or else I felt so drained. And going into nature was a way where I could get energy, and I could recharge. I felt this comfort and peace that I never felt before in my life in nature. Different parts of Vancouver, like Stanley Park, some lakes, and the mountains, and the ocean. Just going hiking and stuff. I never hiked before. Well, besides when I visited Calgary, where my relatives live, and visit mountains, but that was once a year when I was a kid. But besides that, since 2017, since starting in 2017, I learned that I like hiking and trekking and going out and spending time in nature. What I'm seeing right now is a vision of Stanley Park. It's this huge park in Vancouver. It's downtown Vancouver. It's huge. And there's parts of it that's alongside the ocean, and other parts that are more woody, and it's just a huge ass forest. It also has its own lake, maybe lakes. But It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And I felt this like tranquility when I'm there that I never felt like I've experienced before. I would just go there myself and start walking. And I would spend time there just wandering around. And I have my tree friends there and like elementals who support me, some wild animals that I love seeing, lots of squirrels. But I really love being there because I felt this sense of being supported and being held that I never felt before. My parents are and were very supportive, but because I closed my heart to them at an early age, I did not recognize or feel their support with my heart. I rejected their support. It's only last year that I really realized how much they supported me my whole life. But back then, like from 2017 to 2021, I was hanging out in Vancouver in these woods and in nature, and I felt the support from Mother Earth that I hadn't felt from my own mother. And it really changed my life. Like, I'm trying to find words to describe it, but I just felt so safe being in nature, being in the woods, and like I could really slow down and breathe, and I didn't need to perform, I didn't need to I didn't need to give, I didn't need to do anything, and I felt so loved and so supported. Feelings that I hadn't really felt before in my life. I think growing up in dysfunction, you really miss out on feeling safe. Like, feeling safe is such a rarity. And when you grow up in dysfunction or dysfunctional environments where there's always some kind of chaos and your nervous system is always dysregulated, or always or most of the time dysregulated or easily dysregulated, and that's your normal, you tend to seek out environments that mimic that dysregulation and normality for you, because normal feels comfortable. But when I started going to the woods and into nature and started feeling this peace, that began being my normal. And I realized, like, oh, I prefer this to doing things that like bring me more chaos inside and anxiety and adrenaline. I like this groundedness better. I never really felt grounded. Even though I was like chill, I never really felt grounded. And that's still something that I like daily put intention to in my life, to be grounded. But I really got to experience that for the first time in nature. And I think it's really, really important for people who grew up in dysfunctional environments to start feeling what safety feels like, and start putting yourself in environments where you can experience that safety, because there are environments that can provide you with that, and then you can carry that with you even when you're outside of those environments. I still prefer to be in nature and around nature. I realized that being a city girl was a lie. I'm not a city girl. I love being close to nature, somewhere in between like the city and nature. But I love nature. I spend a lot of time in nature still because it's a necessity for me, for my emotional well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being, and also energetic well-being, holistic well-being. Yeah, and I've been so used to just thinking a lot and having lots of thoughts all the time and planning and not really being present. But in nature, I learned to be present because there's nothing I need to be thinking about. And somehow it's just like walking in nature, like looking at the scenery, no plans whatsoever, know where I need to be. That helped me get into my body again and be present and learn how to be present. And I learned that being present is more of my natural state. I'm not always thinking and planning, that's not me. And I began to feel again, thanks to nature. It's kind of crazy how much nature has helped me just listing things out loud. To create this video, I'm just realizing what a huge impact it's had on my life. It's life-changing. Because I wasn't so much in my head, and I could just be in my heart more. Like nature brought me back to my heart. And because I was in my heart, I could feel again, as in my body, to feel emotions, feel energy again. And I learned about energy, my own, but also like different elemental energy. I was connecting to spirit, my higher self, past over loved ones. I was connecting to the spirit realms by connecting to nature, like just being in that quiet, peaceful environment. I could tune in to energy much better because of that. And also, I could tune into joy. Like nature is so simple and yet so complex, but also just, I feel like trees and plants and like nature brings me joy just by being. Like, doesn't need to do anything, but I felt uplifted by just being in nature. And I didn't know that about myself, that I would feel that way. And I realized joy is so easy. Like just going into nature brought me joy. And I would do it more often because I want to feel joy. Walking around in nature brought me a lot of joy. It's a hobby and also a way of life that I realized was a fit for me, that I loved. Also, I felt a sense of wonder because the same park, for example, Stanley Park, it looks the same, but there's also like something different about it every time I go. So there's this like sense of discovery and wonder every time I go into nature, of like discovering something that I didn't see before, notice before, or discovering something about me that I didn't know before, or something about my life, or like things like that. Nature brought me a sense of wonder. It still brings me a sense of wonder and awe. I love nature. Nature talks to you too. So I like by going into nature for 4 years when I was living in Canada, like 2017 to 2021, I began like communicating with spirit and nature, elementals, other realms, also my spirit, other spirit. And ever since then, my time in Canada, like connecting to mountains in Alberta, mountains in BC, and then I left for Japan in 2021. And when I was living in Japan, I began connecting to nature there. And that was new to me because I spent a lot of time in the city. So I began exploring mountains in Japan and the ocean, the sea, and visiting like nature nearby, the woods. I would spend more time in parks. And that brought me peace and tranquility. And from there, it's just continued. I spent a lot of time in nature in Bali. I spent a lot of time in nature in Peru. So it's been a constant for me ever since, and a really essential part of my life, and part of my process for returning back to my true self. I would really discover my true feelings. I would discover like the truth in situations and gain clarity in nature, like away from all the noise of my head, in my head, all the noise in the city, all the noise by being connected to people. Like that would all just go, and I could connect to my heart and my truth, and also see truth in situations. So it's been essential. Like nature has held space for me for so many years, and it still continues to do so. And it will do so for anybody if you choose to go out into nature, if you have nature around you, or make the trek, which you can. Also, I don't know how much I cried in nature, but I've cried so many times. And like nature has revived me and revitalized me. It's like, recycles energy. I would go in there I wouldn't just go when I'm like sad or down or, burnt out and tired and all that. But I carried some heavy energies into nature, and it would still hold space for me. And I would imagine all the energy that I am giving turn into light and be recycled by Mother Earth to be used as clean energy, as light, and love, and energize the planet and its people, us. I learned to do that in nature as well. But yeah, I think one of the greatest gifts was to feel like it was okay to just be me in nature. And having a space where I could do that early on in my healing journey and journey back to myself, was vital, because I didn't feel like I could just be myself. And now I know I can just be myself, and I'm more myself. But when I was starting out, I needed that space, much, much more. Maybe there's a way of rephrasing that. I think nature can really be a powerful, supportive ally on your healing and, return to yourself, especially when you're starting out. And for you to experience unconditional love when you don't know how to unconditionally love yourself or accept yourself, and when that's new to you, because nature does that. Nature just accepts you and it loves you as you are. It welcomes you as you are. And then you can keep on, going deeper in yourself, returning to yourself outside of nature while also being connected to nature, and learn unconditional love and acceptance for yourself. Yeah. In nature, and also outside of nature. Yeah, so I think this is all I have for now. Mm, yeah, and I also want to mention just feeling oneness when I'm in nature. It's like I can forget all these mm, separateness that I may have as a human when I'm outside of nature. But when I go into nature, I just feel really one with the planet, with the universe, with everyone, and I think it's easy to forget when we're living our lives, like, and it's going about our day to day. I think it's easier to forget that we're one and we're connected. But in nature, we can gain this feeling of our interconnectedness and maybe gain respect for other people, for kindness, patience, love. And I'm not saying love people who are abusing you and things like that, but yeah, I felt more whole and one within myself and also with like other people when I'm in nature. I'm reminded of that and I feel that again. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you go into nature, how it felt for you, what you like doing in nature, what makes you feel alive, feel whole, and feel love when you're in nature, what you feel when you're in nature. Maybe I said that already. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.